and welcome to the Park2Park podcast, where we compare theme park offerings from coast to coast. We don't always see eye to eye, but in the end, we'll try. I'm your host, Allie, and as always, I'm joined by my dancing, eyebrow-waggling, probably Instagramming co-host, CJ.
You're right, I am Instagramming.
You're not subtle about it.
I'm sorry.
You know what? You gotta do it for the gram.
If you're not doing it for the gram, are you really doing it?
I don't think so. I don't think you are.
Anyways, how are you doing today, Allie?
I'm doing great. We are on the cusp of a 3-day weekend, so
Whoop.
I'm having a great time. It's Friday night.
Yeah, it is Friday. Yay.
How are you, CJ?
I'm doing well. Over here, Cosmic Rewind opened today to the public, so Mom and I went over. We got boarding group 12 somehow by some miracle. So we were in the first group that was called back, so we rushed through really fast and blasted off into space.
I'm so you were there with your children. What did you do with them?
We did rider switch.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mom went on first, and then we set up rider switch. So I went on second through the lightning lane, and then we were both off the ride by 9:30ish.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
The park opened at 8:30. We got over there at 8:45. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think the most important question: what song did you get?
Oh my gosh, I would have to look it up. Actually, Mom and I were discussing this, and I just pushed publish on a blog post discussing all of my thoughts. So if you want to read it, it's at theweeklymouse.com. We were discussing how there's just so much going on between the music, the dialogue, the motion of the ride, and the visuals that Mom didn't even remember immediately afterwards what song she got. If I looked at a track listing right now, like Cosmic Rewind songs, I would know what ride I got, or I'm sorry, what song I got. I got Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears.
All right.
Everybody, you know that song?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the song I got. Yeah.
Well, I am staying spoiler-free until my next trip to Florida in...
Yeah, then don't read my blog post because I'm very spoilerful everywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
If you have already been on the ride or don't care about spoilers, go check out CJ's blog post.
Yeah, there's a lot of hot takes over there. So my mom and I were not very friendly towards the ride. It's a good ride, but we have thoughts.
As we always do. This is the Park2Park podcast, where our hot takes are hotter than Hades' hair in Hercules.
It's a good one.
Thank you. It was very alliterative too.
It was.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever time you are listening to it. This episode, we are going to talk ourselves in circles. We're going to compare the carousels, the Mad Tea Party, and the Dumbo attractions at Disneyland and at Magic Kingdom. So let's start off with the carousel. CJ, what's your favorite thing about King Arthur Carousel at Disneyland?
Yes, I noticed you said King Arthur Carousel. Interesting name. We'll get into that in a little bit. So, King Arthur Carousel at Disneyland, what I really like about it is it usually has a short wait. If it has a long wait, I'm sorry for all the other wait times at Disneyland that day that you're probably waiting in. And it just has that classic Disneyland feel, and I like that it's in the middle of the action of Fantasyland.
And what about Magic Kingdom?
Oh, Magic Kingdom. Well, what's it called at Magic Kingdom, Allie?
The Prince Charming Regal Carousel at Magic Kingdom.
I really like the views of Cinderella Castle. Cinderella Castle, we've talked about views of Cinderella Castle before on this podcast, and I think from the carousel you get some really awesome views of the castle.
Yeah, you have a lot of opinions about the castle views, I've noticed.
I do. Well, the castle is huge at Magic Kingdom, and there's a lot of empty space surrounding the castle at Magic Kingdom, and I think from the carousel, it plays a really important role. The empty space plays an important role because you get such an awesome view from the carousel.
All right.
Okay, your turn. Let's start with King Arthur Carousel for you.
I like that Mary Poppins and her band will ride it sometimes. It's kind of like a little bonus experience if you catch it at just the right time. And you can even ride it, when they're riding it too, it's really cool when they get to do that.
Mhm.
And then also, this applies to both carousels, but both carousels have horses that do not trigger my horse allergies.
That's true.
It's
That's true.
very important for me.
Yes, yes, you're not allergic to the fake horses on the carousel.
Yes.
What about Prince Charming Regal Carousel? What's your favorite thing about that carousel?
Now, I'll admit I haven't been on it in a very, very long time, but I like that it's Cinderella themed. As we have already established on this podcast, Cinderella is my girl. She's my favorite princess. So, her having an attraction themed to her I like that.
That's true, and that's something I didn't consider. Like, Cinderella's your favorite princess, and she doesn't really have an attraction beyond the castle and the carousel.
Yep.
And Snow White's my favorite, and she gets the mine train, and then she has the dark ride in Disneyland. Plus,
Mhm.
she's got the grotto next to the wishing well, too. So, you
It's
just get a
almost
carousel.
like it's almost like she's the first princess, so she gets everything she wants.
I feel like you're
We're not
attacking
going there
me.
again. We're not going there again.
Wow.
Okay, so
Wow.
Susie, why don't you tell me when the Prince Charming Regal Carousel opened?
Well, at Magic Kingdom, it opened October 1st, 1971.
And King Arthur Carousel opened at Disneyland on July 17th, 1955. They are both opening day attractions for their respective parks.
Yep.
And the King Arthur Carousel in Disneyland is kind of smack in the middle of Fantasyland. So it's the first thing that you see really when you walk through the castle. You're just met with the carousel. Wow, I almost called it a Ferris wheel. Both of them go around, but they're very different attractions.
Yes.
So while you're riding the carousel, you can see the Sword in the Stone, the queue entrance for Peter Pan, a lot of the queue for Mr. Toad. You can see the Dumbo ride. You can see Pinocchio and Snow White. And you can also see a little bit of the Casey Jr. Circus Train, Monstro, the Whale, and the Castle.
Yeah, and in Magic Kingdom, it's also pretty much in the same spot, smack dab in the middle of Fantasyland. Not it's not really part of like new Fantasyland, like the storybook area, but like classic Fantasyland. And as you spin, you can see the castle, PhilharMagic, Pinocchio Village House, and Princess Fairy Tale Hall, as well as the sea of strollers that they park right behind the carousel.
Yeah, the views for Disneyland, it's all the Fantasyland facades and the queues and the entire Dumbo ride because it's right there.
Yeah,
So
I'm noticing that at Disneyland, it seems like you get to see a lot more rides as you spin around.
yeah. I feel that comes down to Disneyland being a lot more densely packed.
And
It's
Disneyland just has a lot more dark rides than Magic Kingdom does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when they redid Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom, they got rid of a lot of their classic dark rides
Which
in
is a
exchange
shame.
for, yeah, in exchange for like meet and greets and other things. So, all right, let's talk about how many horses, special horses, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so there's at Disneyland there are 68 horses. Each of them has its own name, and if you're interested, you can get a list of the horse names at City Hall on Main Street.
Hmm,
The
interesting.
carousel itself was built in 1922 and was originally located in Sunnyside Beach Park in Toronto, Canada, but it was relocated to Disneyland in 1954. The original carousel had 3 rings of horses, which are called courses. So it originally had 3 courses, but it was expanded to 4, and the horses were acquired from other carousels around North America.
When, do you know when the fourth course was added? Was that added when it was like moved to Disneyland
I
or?
believe so. I believe it
Okay.
was added before Disneyland opened.
Okay, that would make sense.
So the horses that they added were refurbished, some of them even to the point of having their legs removed and re-added later so that they could be carved into jumping horses instead of standing horses.
I feel like a carousel with standing horses would look really bizarre.
It's a little lackluster, I think.
Yes. Well, because if the carousel is supposed to be, carousels move and
Yeah.
I don't know, horses aren't standing on conveyor belts. Like they move. Anyways.
There were originally a variety of animals, but Walt Disney wanted everyone to ride a galloping horse like King Arthur. Maybe that
Hmm.
explains the name.
Maybe.
Um, there were also originally 71 horses and one mule.
Okay.
One of the rows of horses was removed in 2003 during a refurbishment where they added a full row of benches and a ramp, which brought the horse total to 68 as we know it today.
Cool. Awesome. So over at Magic Kingdom, there's 90 wood carved horses, and each horse is unique. So the capacity there is a little bit higher. It was built in 1917 by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company. However, it started as the Liberty Carousel at Belle Isle Park in Detroit, Michigan. Then it moved to Olympic Park in New Jersey before Disney acquired it. It opened in Disney World in 1971, and it's real 23 karat gold on those horses. And this carousel has 5 courses, so it's 5 rings of horses. And it has 2,300 lights. So at night when it's shining and beautiful and bright, 2,300 lights are lighting it up.
Those are some bright horses.
Some bright horses. Yes.
So at Disneyland, Walt had a favorite horse, and this horse is named Jingles. And Jingles is so named because of its ornate jingle bell carvings. As a result, Jingles is also the most popular horse, and it's the one that Mary Poppins rides when she gets to ride the carousel.
Yeah, I feel like people fight over jingles.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't even try. If it happens, it happens, but it's not worth fighting over a carousel horse.
yeah. For Disneyland's 50th anniversary, Jingles was actually removed, trimmed an 18 karat gold leaf, and made into a photo op outside the ride. And upon replacement, Jingles was refurbished and added some Mary Poppins touches, including the initials JA, which stands for Julie Andrews, who, as we know, played Mary Poppins in the original Mary Poppins movie. And Jingles was dedicated to Julie Andrews in 2008.
There we go.
Yep. One more fun fact before we move on to Magic Kingdom. The carousel was moved in 1983 to make room for new attractions in Fantasyland.
Yeah, Fantasyland had that huge refurbishment in 1983. A lot of
Yeah.
stuff got moved around at Disneyland.
All of the attractions that we talk about in this episode were moved in 1983.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
really cool fun fact, actually. That's really interesting. So in Magic Kingdom, the carousel went through a name change. Up until 2010, it was called Cinderella's Golden Carousel. So it was renamed during Fantasyland's refurbishment. So Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom also went through a refurbishment. And during this time, the carousel was given a backstory, believe it or not. So it kind of goes like this. After Cinderella got married, peace reigned in the kingdom. So with there being peace in the kingdom, the prince didn't need to practice jousting anymore, so he created a carousel to practice ring spearing instead. And the village people loved that activity so much, he created one for them to practice on as well.
They
So
can't sing YMCA all the time. The village people need to ride the carousel too.
Wow, that's a bad joke, Allie. That's really bad.
You're the one who wrote The Village People Loved It So Much.
The people who live in Cinderella's village, I don't know.
The villagers,
The villagers.
perhaps.
Okay, the villagers. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anywho, the carousel in Magic Kingdom has 2 R's in its spelling, not one. And that's the French way to spell carousel because the Disney movie Cinderella is based on the French adaptation or the French version. And there's rumors that Cinderella's horse is on the carousel at Magic Kingdom and it has a golden bow on it. But there's also rumors that state it's not her horse because it's in the middle of a row of horses and she wouldn't ride in the middle of the pack. She would be like a lead horse. And also, Cinderella never rode a horse in the movie. So there's conflicting reports on whether or not that's her horse.
And the King Arthur Carousel at Disneyland is also spelled with 2 R's, though I don't have any information as to why.
Just weird Disney things.
It's just the way it is.
It is just the way it is.
So at Disneyland, there are some hand-painted vignettes at the top of the carousel. There are 9 of them, and they depict scenes from Sleeping Beauty. Not from Sword in the Stone, not from any King Arthur legend. This is King Arthur Carousel. We depict scenes from Sleeping Beauty. The roof of the carousel was replaced, surprise, surprise, in 1983. It's purple and blue, probably actually pink and blue if it's Sleeping Beauty. I don't know, but it's also King Arthur. Anyways, it has a crest on it as well with a red lion. There are some hedges around the carousel, and the Sword in the Stone is right there, bringing us back to King Arthur. I think this carousel's just confused. Anyways, the Sword in the Stone used to have a little show where Merlin would find the guest who would become king for the day because King Arthur was on vacation. The last show was in 2006, but in January 2020, apparently the real King Arthur showed up and pulled the sword out of the stone.
I remember that, and then like 2 months later, the parks closed, and that news kind of got buried.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah. So meanwhile, at Magic Kingdom, there's 18 hand-painted scenes from Cinderella up top. The tent outside or up above is like this patterned, multicolored tent with some Renaissance fair style flags around the outside. There's a flower bed surrounding the queue, and they also have a Sword in the Stone photo op outside. I don't know the last time they did the Sword in the Stone show. I'm assuming it's been a very long time, just like at Disneyland. But it's a photo op now, and sometimes there's a PhotoPass cast member out there to take your picture.
As far as music goes, Disneyland has a Wurlitzer number 157 band organ, but it doesn't actually operate. It's kind of just there for show. And the soundtrack to the carousel is organ music of Disney songs.
I wonder why it doesn't play. Like, is it broken, or they just like made it not play?
I don't know.
This also made me realize there's a lot of organs in Disneyland.
Yes. I can think of 3 off the top of my head, 2 of which are in Fantasyland.
I can think of 4.
Where's the 4th one?
There's one in that shop in the back of Frontierland.
I never would have come up with that.
You know what I'm talking about? The Pioneer Mercantile? Is that
I know what story you're talking about, but I can't visualize any instruments in there.
I don't know if that's actually an organ, but like you put a coin in it and it plays music. You know?
And then of course the 3rd one is in the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, that wasn't what I was thinking of either.
Oh, really? What's the other one?
I don't know if these are actually organs or not. I should backtrack my statements here. The 2 that I'm thinking of that you're not thinking of, I don't know if these are actually organs, but they're unique musical instruments.
Okay.
That you put coins in and they play, and they're very loud. There's the one in the Pioneer Mercantile in Frontierland, and then there's the one in the candy shop on Main Street.
Okay. I don't know if they're organs either, because I can't pull up the visuals of them in my head to be like, oh yeah, that's an organ. But like you saying the
Calliope? Is it called Calliope? The one in the candy
be.
shop on Main Street?
That sounds right. I can hear it.
Yeah.
I can hear it going from quiet to really loud.
Yes, and the one in Frontierland is similar. So I'm going to correct that. There's like 5 really unique instruments in Disneyland, 3 of which...
At least.
Yeah, 3 of which... 2 of which are in Fantasyland.
Yeah.
And so that means 3 of them are in attractions if you count the organ in Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, which I do.
That's interesting. Anyways, back to the carousel.
Yes.
Magic Kingdom, I don't believe it has an actual organ in it, but it does play similar music. It's just an organ version of Disney songs, basically.
Yeah. During fireworks, the carousel at Disneyland is closed.
At Magic Kingdom, I was having a very hard time finding if it closes because everything I was finding was saying like the area between the carousel and the castle closes. And I was like, well, that doesn't tell me if the carousel is included in that, but I'm pretty sure it closes. I'm not 100% sure.
And during rain, the King Arthur carousel is open. And we mentioned this because it becomes relevant later in this episode.
Yes, it does. Magic Kingdom carousel also remains open.
At Disneyland, there were apparently always bench seats or one like row of bench seats. But in 2003, there was a refurbishment where the bench was expanded and made to meet ADA compliance, and it's, I guess, a chariot or something now. Anyways, and if you're an adult and you don't feel like climbing on the back of a horse, you can stand. You just have to stand between the horses.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing at Magic Kingdom. There is bench seating available and you can stand between the horses, but not on the outside.
The queue at Disneyland wraps around and within the hedges, but is mostly in shade.
Yep, same thing at Magic Kingdom pretty much. Wraps around the front and the side. If the line is short, you can get under cover, but if it's long, it'll be outside and in the sun. And I've seen it get that long, especially when the parks first reopened from the COVID closure and they were doing like the 6 feet spacing and the line was long. You could be standing outside in the sun.
I don't want to be standing outside in the sun and the Florida heat for too long.
No.
And as far as photo ops go, Disneyland, you have the Sword in the Stone.
Yep, Magic Kingdom, you also have the Sword in the Stone photo opportunity. And then, of course, I think for both of them, if you're sitting on a horse on the ride, it's a pretty good photo op.
Yeah, it's fun. And then there's no lightning lane at Disneyland. Frankly, where would you put it?
Yeah, same for Magic Kingdom. Just not going to happen.
So we kind of rapid fired that, and it's time for the carousel showdown.
The carousel showdown. A horse battle. Let's ride our horses to battle, joust each other.
Yeah, it's the carousel joust for this one.
Yes.
So we kind of broke this down to a couple of a lot of this, it's hard to pick the ones to compare, the categories to compare. But we ended up settling on 2 of them. First one is views. CJ, which one is the winner for views?
I think Magic Kingdom is the winner for views because I know I kind of hate on Magic Kingdom for having a lot of open space in certain areas of the park, but I think for the carousel it plays in its favor because you're not looking at things right up close to you when you're on the ride. Like that open space is kind of nice to look at when you're on the ride. So for that, I'm giving it to Magic Kingdom.
All right. I'll be honest. I was at Magic Kingdom a couple months ago, and I don't think I even saw the carousel.
Really? Okay.
I could not tell you. Although you can see PhilharMagic, and I went to PhilharMagic, so I probably did see the carousel and just kind of glazed over it.
Yes, probably.
I think I'm going to give this one to Disneyland because you kind of can get a preview of the other rides in Fantasyland. So it kind of hypes up like, oh, we can do this one, we can do that one, we can do this one.
You know what? That's a good point. And I remember being on the Disneyland one saying, oh, look, Pinocchio doesn't have a short or doesn't have a long line. Let's go on that one. We're off of this one.
Yeah.
We've totally done that before.
We absolutely have.
Yeah. What's our next category we're rating these on?
Our next category is appearance, meaning the scenes that are depicted above, the tent color, the shields, the sword, etc. And my winner for this one is going to be Magic Kingdom, just because there's more to it. There's more to look at. There's 18 of them versus 9. I mean, that's just basic math.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Magic Kingdom for that one as well. And it's not necessarily that it's better than Disneyland. I think it's weird that Disneyland is called King Arthur Carousel, and yet everything about the ride is Sleeping Beauty pictures.
Yeah, it kind of has an identity crisis.
It does, and I don't really understand that. Like the Sword in the Stone outside is relating to King Arthur, but the ride is Sleeping Beauty pictures. I don't understand that.
The ride is called King Arthur. It's an identity crisis. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
But then we've got Prince Charming's carousel over here, which the pictures relate to Cinderella. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's cohesive.
It is, yeah. So I'm going to give it to Magic Kingdom just for the cohesiveness.
All right. So your clear winner on this one is Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. So for like the final showdown, it's got to go to Magic Kingdom for me.
Yeah, and although I was split on our categories, I do think I'm going to give it to Magic Kingdom. The deciding factor really being the size and the capacity. There's more horses and more opportunities to ride at Magic Kingdom than there are at Disneyland.
Let's move on to our next attraction.
Our next attraction is the Mad Tea Party.
Woohoo! And these both have the same name at both parks, so that's easy.
Yeah, nice and easy to remember.
Yes.
My favorite thing about the Mad Tea Party at Disneyland is just the vibe of the area. You know you're in Wonderland because you're surrounded by Wonderland. I like that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, at Disneyland, it's kind of, for our guests who have never been, it's the teacup area is sunken a little bit. When you get in the queue, the ramp kind of goes down. I don't know. What do you think? Like it goes down like 5 or 6 feet?
Down, down, down.
Yes. But it reminds me a little bit, it makes you feel small compared to the surrounding area, especially with Matterhorn towering up in the background. So it reminds me of the part in the movie where Alice shrinks down a little bit. So I think that gives it a little bit of a story beyond just spinning in a teacup.
And my favorite thing about the teacups at Magic Kingdom is the shade.
Yeah, that's a big plus. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, besides the shade, I like the design on the teacups. The actual artwork on the outside of the teacups is different than at Disneyland, and I think it's a little more retro, and I just happen to personally like that design better.
When I went on it, my eyes just kind of glazed over the design because it's just, I've been on the teacups at Disneyland so often that I was just like, oh yeah, it's the teacups.
Really? You didn't notice a difference?
No.
Okay.
But we were also in a competition against you, so
Yes,
we were
it's true.
like, let's get on, let's make sure we get in a purple one, and let's go.
Purple? Why purple?
Because purple is Kirsten's favorite color. The Mad Tea Party at Disneyland opened on July 17th, 1955, another opening day attraction. Woo woo.
However,
Yeah, it closed in 1982 and reopened in 1983 when they moved it. I was
yeah.
going to get into that later.
Oh, sorry. But
That's okay.
This one had a pretty big move though.
Yeah, it moved from sort of where Dumbo is now almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it shifted over to its current location.
Yeah, and when the carousel moved, it just shifted like backwards a little bit.
Yeah, I think it moved like the carousel maybe moved 20 feet.
Yeah, versus this was like
Significant.
around the corner, like a pretty big move. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at Magic Kingdom, this is also an opening day attraction, October 1st, 1971.
And of course, both of these are in Fantasyland. At Disneyland, you're near the Storybook Land canal boats, the Alice in Wonderland ride, the Matterhorn, and the Mad Hatter shop.
Yeah, Magic Kingdom, obviously Fantasyland. It's near the Tomorrowland border, but also close to that Storybook Circus subland area. Kind of by Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Winnie the Pooh, and Tomorrowland Speedway is right over there on the border. What I find interesting is both of these are kind of on the Tomorrowland border.
Yeah, I mean, for Disneyland, you do have that Matterhorn buffer until you get to Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are both very close to Tomorrowland.
Yeah, here there's no buffer because it's like the Speedway. You could throw a rock at the Speedway.
And then when you're on the Mad Tea Party at Disneyland, you get a view of the Storybook Land canal boats, the Alice in Wonderland ride, the Matterhorn, the Mad Hatter shop, and if you time it right, the parade.
Yeah, and then at night they have the lanterns overhead that change color, and it's so pretty.
Yeah, I was going to get into that later.
Sorry.
We talk about covered versus uncovered.
Sorry. That really makes me happy.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful to ride.
It really is. It really is. At Magic Kingdom, it's mostly covered because of the shade structure, so you don't really see anything directly above you except the shade structure. But you can see like parts of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, like the mountain, and like parts of Tomorrowland Speedway, but you can't really see too much outside. There's oftentimes like family members like right along the edge that you're staring at as you spin by.
Yeah, I do feel like that is sometimes the case at Disneyland too.
Yeah.
There's that little nook like
Yes.
on the corner opposite, kind of almost opposite the
Like the control booth.
yeah, the control cottage, because
Yes,
it is a little
it
cottage.
is a cottage, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little bench nook, and it's shaded and really nice,
Yeah, that's a
and
cool
people
little
hang out
area.
there. So at Disneyland, the teacups are uncovered, which poses a problem, but they do, as CJ mentioned, have these beautiful lanterns overhead, and they light up at night.
Yeah. You remember the glow with the show ears?
Yeah, I have a pair.
I know you do. So the glow with the show ears, for our listeners who don't know, it was this piece of technology that Disney was trying to make a thing, but they faded away pretty fast. I think they lasted, what, a couple years, and they kind of
Well,
gave up.
they did have two iterations of it. The ears that
Okay.
I have are very big, clunky, and heavy. The
Yeah.
second iteration, they did a lot better. They're a lot lighter. I don't
Okay.
think they ever had a third iteration.
So the technology is basically like the glowing element communicates with certain attractions and shows to like glow with the show. They change colors and
Mhm.
stuff. Did those ears glow with the teacups? Do
Not
you
that I
remember?
know of.
Okay. Because I
I think it
remember,
was primarily World of Color and the Paint the Night Parade that this was implemented for.
okay, because I remember they glowed with some stuff in Cars Land. Like I remember they would change red, white, and green over at Luigi's.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, yeah, I was just curious. Anyways, so we talked about Magic Kingdom being covered. They also have lanterns that glow, but I feel like the glowing effect isn't like the light color changing effect isn't as strong because they have like regular white lights as well to make it so that people can see a little better.
Mhm.
It's not like darkness up ahead or up above.
And because Disneyland is uncovered, if it rains, the teacups will close. And this is because of the turntable function. It's either too dangerous or it just stops working when there's water in it.
Yeah.
So rain, no go.
Yeah, and the Magic Kingdom teacups stay open during the rain. So
So I have a bone to pick with Disney here. By the time they refurbed and relocated the teacups in 1983, they had 30 years to realize that the teacups needed to close in the rain, and they had 12 years of having a cover over it at Magic Kingdom. Why didn't they build a cover when they relocated the teacups in 1983 and solve this problem?
well, I'm going to take you back to season 1 where we talked about how little rain Orange County, California gets.
Yeah, that's fair.
It doesn't rain that much. I mean,
It doesn't
every
rain
now.
that much, but Disneyland is really fun to go to in the rain, as long as the teacups aren't your number one priority, I guess.
Yes, I think you answered your own question. Whose number one priority is the teacups?
People who really like Alice in Wonderland.
Okay. I guess so.
I mean, it might be their number two priority, but it's still a top priority if you really
Okay.
like Alice in Wonderland.
Okay. Okay. Moving on.
I would also say that the Mad Hatter would prioritize the Mad Tea Party.
Okay. Moving on.
Talk to me about
Okay.
how many teacups are at Magic Kingdom, CJ.
There are 18 teacups. There's, one giant turntable with 3 turntables. So there's 6 teacups per turntable for a total of 18. The design of the teacups are more of like a Mary Blair style design. It's like a simple, whimsical sketch on the outside where the teacup is a solid color and then there's a second color for the sketch outside. It's like I don't know, to me it's like a whimsical, simple sketch, if that makes sense. The teacup, I'm sorry, there's a multicolored like swirly pattern on the floor. The tent up above is two-toned with patterned lights hanging. And then in the middle is a teapot with the dormouse who pops up every now and then. There's stylized leaves outside the attraction that complement the style on the teacups.
Like Magic Kingdom, Disneyland also has 18 teacups. It's the same turntable pattern as well. One of the teacups, however, was painted gold and has stayed such since the 50th anniversary.
Like the design is gold, not the
Yeah,
light.
it's not like an entire gold teacup.
Okay,
Like,
I was trying to
that'd be
picture.
kind of tacky. Um, no, it's the artwork is gold. The platform originally had no color, but was painted in a psychedelic spiral of pink and purple, kind of reminiscent of the Cheshire Cat.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Huh.
The teacups are brightly colored. Some of them are solid colored with a stripe of white at the top, but most have some sort of emblem on them. And looking at them, it kind of reminds me of like the suits you'd see on a deck of cards. But
Hmm.
there's like a tulip, there's a heart, and the heart always reminded me of the Powerpuff Girls. If you see it, you know.
Oh, oh, yeah.
There's one that's got a daisy. I want to say there's like a clubs, like the suit of
Yeah, yeah.
cards. Yeah, bunch of patterns. And it also has the stylized leaves surrounding the ride.
And I like how it matches the attraction next door to the Alice in Wonderland attraction.
Yeah. It kind of brings the whole area together. It's kind of, that whole corner is kind of an Alice in Wonderland corner with the Mad Tea Party, with the Alice in Wonderland ride, and with the Mad Hatter shop.
Yeah, yeah, it looks really cool.
Now, I watched a ride through, so I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure at Disneyland, when you're riding the teacups, you get the unbirthday song on repeat over and over again, and it's the only song that you listen to.
I mean, listen, if I was in that area and I was listening to the music, I would know, like, I would be able to hum the song, but I can't think off the top of my head, oh, this is the such and such song. Like, I would just know what's going on in my head. I would be able to sing along with it.
You know, the thing with the Mad Tea Party, the line from the movie is, "We're all mad here." Well, if you weren't mad before, you're mad now because you've been hearing the unbirthday song on the loop the entire time. You've been waiting in line, and
Yeah,
now you're on the ride, and we're all mad
I
here. It's
know. Those
okay.
those poor ride operators. So at Magic Kingdom, they actually have different songs. It's not the same loop. I did notice that when I was over there. I was like, oh, these are different songs. And it's a longer music loop. So I was having a hard time finding what the music loop was, what songs were included in there, but it is different and it is longer.
When it comes to the entertainment, Disneyland's Mad Tea Party is right next to the parade route, so you can. Well, I guess there's going to be hordes of people between you and the parade, especially because you're lower.
Mhm.
But you can, in theory, see the parade from riding the teacups.
Yeah, you can see the taller floats for sure. At Magic Kingdom, you can't see the parades. You're way too far back from the parade route. The fireworks view would be blocked by the canopy, so you can't see anything.
At Disneyland, the queue, you are going downhill and you are going in switchbacks.
They're really tight switchbacks.
They really are. I know the attraction was moved in the 80s, but it was built in the 50s, and they just didn't, nobody foresaw how the capacity would need to increase.
Yeah, how
It wasn't
popular Disneyland would be so many years
it
later.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was not built for 2000 crowds. It was built
yeah.
for 1950s, 1980s crowds. So,
Right, right. Magic Kingdom's queue is pretty much covered. It winds around the side of the teacup area in switchbacks.
and it's flat.
Yep, and it's flat.
At Disneyland, as we previously mentioned, the teacups moved. They were almost where Dumbo is now, and they got moved over to their current location. They used to have a direct line of sight to the castle.
That would have been
And
a cool view because you could have
yeah,
like flown up high and I'm sorry, not in the teacups.
not in the teacups. Those
Never
teacups stay
mind.
firmly on the ground.
I saw the word Dumbo and I thought, oh cool, you fly up high. Never mind. Forget it.
Okay, CJ, where's Dumbo today? Do you have a direct line of sight on Sleeping Beauty Castle when you ride Dumbo today? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
It's been too long. I'll be there in 2 months, okay?
All right. And then, as previously mentioned, the golden teacup was added for the 50th anniversary. And we could not find stats on how fast the teacups go, other than the fact that your individual teacup, you control the speed of that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty sure Magic Kingdoms goes faster. Every time I ride it, I'm like, this feels like it goes faster. Like I think I have an easier time spinning the Magic Kingdom teacups. This is
You know,
purely based on experience.
the last several times I've been on the teacups, the last several most memorable times I've been on the teacups at either coast, I've just sat back and let Kirsten do the spinning. And she gets us going real fast. Love you,
Okay,
Kirsten.
so personally, I'm pretty sure Magic Kingdom goes faster. The canopy at Magic Kingdom didn't exist until 1973, so it took them a couple years. So those first couple years, people's biscuits were burning on those teacups, I'm pretty sure.
And or it closed when it rained in Florida, which, as we know, is a lot more often than it does in California.
It's like every day during the summer.
Yep.
Anyways, I learned this recently. There's a quote on a leaf outside of the teacups at Magic Kingdom, and I've seen it before and I didn't realize what it was. So thanks to touringplans.com for this information. Randy Pausch is the co-author of the book, The Last Lecture. He was an Imagineer for a while. He did some work with the Imagineering team in the virtual reality field. But there's a quote by him that says, "Be good at something. It makes you valuable. Have something to bring to the table because that will make you more welcome." So, I thought that there were just these quotes from different people on random leaves around the Mad Tea Party. And I hadn't really taken the time to read the quote. I just my brain registered, oh, there's a quote on a leaf. There must be other quotes around here, but it's just this quote by Randy Pausch, the co-author of The Last Lecture. And they put it there, in his memory because, he's important to the Walt Disney Company and he wrote the book. So yeah, I'm going to go look for that next time I'm in the park now that I know the backstory on it.
And I didn't realize he was an Imagineer. I just knew him from The Last Lecture.
Yeah, he was for a short time, but yeah.
In terms of photo opportunities, there is at Disneyland, a nearby teacup where you can sit and have a photo op. Sometimes there will be a PhotoPass photographer there. And there's also good vantage points around the ride to take pictures of the ride and of the rest of the park. Well, not the entire rest of the park, but like the Matterhorn and Monstro and things like that.
Yeah. So at Magic Kingdom, there's no teacup nearby to sit in like there is at Disneyland, but there's one of the 50th golden statues that they've created for the 50th anniversary. There's a couple of those nearby, and you can get right up next to the fence, just like at Disneyland, so you can take some really great pictures of the ride itself. And there's a lot of shrubbery surrounding the ride, so, shrubbery makes for nice pictures.
Yeah, and I will also point out that the 50th anniversary golden statues are thematically appropriate. There's the Cheshire Cat and the Mad Hatter.
Yes.
At Disneyland, there is no lightning lane. Like with the carousel, where would you put it?
And at Magic Kingdom, there is lightning lane offered for this attraction. It's one of those that's pretty easy to get.
Yes. Yes, it is. So that wraps us for the Mad Tea Party. It's time for the Teacup Showdown. What's a fun name for this? The Battle of the Tea Parties?
The Orlando Anaheim Tea Expo? I don't know. I was going for like the Boston Tea Party. I don't know.
Well, it's the Mad Tea Party.
I don't have, my creativity is like dwindling today, apparently.
Apparently. I was relying on you for this one. Did so well on the first one. All right, category number 1, we have the views. And I think for me, I'm going to give this one to Disneyland because you don't have to struggle to see things. There's no canopy shade blocking your view of anything else in the park.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to go to Disneyland. You got the Matterhorn right there. You have the Alice in Wonderland ride right there. The views are gorgeous.
All right. And then our next category is design. CJ, I already know your opinion on this. You kind of mentioned it earlier, but tell us a little bit more.
I'm going to go with Magic Kingdom. The Disneyland design on the teacups, it looks a little 90s to me. I don't know. It doesn't look it looks retro, but in a bad way. Like, it doesn't look retro cool. Whereas I think Magic Kingdom's looks retro cool.
All right. And I just went ahead and looked up the Magic Kingdom teacups because, like I said earlier, I just kind of glazed over them. They kind of look like child's drawings to me, honestly. Like,
that's Mary Blair style, though.
No, but they look like scribbles for the most part.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
You're hurting my feelings.
I think I have to give this one to Disneyland as well. I think that they are cleaner. And also, I'm looking at one picture from allears.net of Disneyland and one picture from insidethemagic.net of Magic Kingdom, and they're side by side on this Google image result. And just the Disneyland version feels more welcoming. So, the final teacup showdown. For me, it goes to Disneyland, despite the fact that it closes in the rain. It's just, to me, it feels better themed within the land, and I like the way it looks.
Okay, and I'm going to split from you and go with Magic Kingdom because I really like the design on the teacups. I think it's cool that the dormouse comes up every now and then. I like that it's shaded, and I like that you don't hear the same song over and over and over again. However, I do think that Disneyland, the view is really fantastic.
And you have to give some credit to the surrounding area theme. It's
Yeah.
an Alice corner.
Yeah, the Alice Corner is like the one thing that Disneyland has going for it. I'll give it that. Everything
The
else,
lanterns are cool too.
the Alice Corner and the lanterns, I'm giving to Disneyland. But everything else goes to Magic Kingdom, and that's why the scales are tipping to Magic Kingdom for me.
Okay. So, CJ, you mentioned the dormouse in the middle of the teacups.
Yes.
What other ride has a mouse at its center?
Dumbo, the flying elephant.
Indeed, 10 points to Gryffindor. You got that one right.
Wow.
Are you a Gryffindor? I don't actually know.
I don't know either.
Okay. We'll call it Gryffindor for now and amend it after we've properly sorted you later.
Okay.
So at both parks, it is called Dumbo the Flying Elephant. CJ, tell me your favorite thing about Dumbo at Disneyland.
This is very random, but I like that when you enter the queue, you walk close, you go right by Monstro and the rocks and that fountain back there. Like that little waterfall fountain thing you don't see unless you enter the Dumbo queue.
I'd forgotten about that until you
See?
mentioned it, honestly.
See? You don't see that unless you enter the Dumbo queue.
My favorite thing about Dumbo at Disneyland is just kind of the memories of riding it throughout the years as a kid and as a teenager and as an adult. Yeah. Just all of the good times. It's fun.
It is fun. It's just pure fun.
Yeah. Magic Kingdom.
I like that there are two Dumbos, dueling Dumbos, we call them.
And for me, I really like the queue at the Magic Kingdom Dumbo. Not just the fact that it's covered, because you know me at this point, I am always seeking shade. But I like that it is more than just a stand in line and shuffle forward. And CJ, you're going to talk about that later, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I will leave it at that for now.
Okay.
Disneyland. Dumbo opened August 16th, 1955. It was supposed to be an opening day attraction, but due to technical difficulties, it was delayed by about a month. Like the other two rides in this episode, it was closed and moved between 1982 and 1983.
All right. Do you know like where it was originally located?
I do know where it was originally located. Thank you for asking. So there is a walkway that connects Fantasyland and Frontierland. That's where Dumbo was, on the Fantasyland side of that walkway.
Right, and that walkway was like non-existent. Yeah, non-existent. Okay, cool. So at Magic Kingdom, it opened October 1st, 1971. So it was an opening day attraction for Magic Kingdom. I didn't realize that it was not quite an opening day attraction at Disneyland.
Yeah, there were some technical difficulties. One of them, I don't think the effect was ever ended up being implemented, but what they wanted to do was have hinges on the ears so that when you were flying, the ears would flap.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's a shame it didn't work.
Yep.
So, as expected, this ride is in Fantasyland, and it is currently located behind the carousel, near the Casey Jr. Circus train and Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
In Magic Kingdom, it's in the Storybook Circus area, which is, again, that sub-land of Fantasyland. It's close to Big Top Souvenirs, Goofy's Barnstormer, Casey Jr. Splash and Soak Station, and the Fantasyland train station. And right behind it is Tomorrowland Speedway. So it's kind of like geographically on the border of Tomorrowland. But I'm noticing that they're both right next to a Casey Jr. connection. So it's kind of
Which
got that.
makes sense.
It makes sense for the movie, right?
Yeah.
For the circus stuff.
And Casey Jr. is in the Dumbo movie.
Really? I don't remember that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the train that moves the circus. And he goes, I think I can, I think I
I
can,
thought
I
that was
think
a
I
short.
can.
It's been way too long since I've seen Dumbo.
It is in the full-length Dumbo movie. Original
Okay.
animated, I haven't seen the remake.
I haven't either.
When you are flying on the back of your flying elephant at Disneyland, you get a view of pretty much all of Fantasyland. You can see Sleeping Beauty Castle, and you get a really unique view of the Storybook Land canal boats and the Casey Jr. Circus Train ride, which I gotta say, I feel like people forget that ride exists.
I think it's making a comeback.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's making a comeback. At Magic Kingdom, you can see mostly the Storybook Circus area, and off in the distance, you can see the castle.
Question.
Answer.
Other than rides that are completely indoors, is there any ride that you can't see the castle from at Magic Kingdom?
Oh, gosh.
Mad Tea Party?
Correct.
I know, I asked a really hard question.
Yeah, this is not a fair question to just throw at me. Jeez.
Okay, well, go to Magic Kingdom, make your park reservation, do some research, and come back to me.
Okay.
All right, we'll determine the answer to that later.
You make a really ugly thinking face. I'm sorry. I'm so tired, and you're making me like run through the rides in my head.
If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see CJ's really ugly thinking face. All right, let's move on. At Disneyland, Dumbo originally opened with 10 elephants, and it was updated in 1990 to have 16 of them.
Wow, they waited until 1990?
Apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There may have been a gap probably in the 80s where they increased it from 10, but it didn't go to 16 until 1990.
Wow.
The color palette is 8-color rainbow palette, and it's kind of meant to represent the pink elephants on the parade. It's not just Dumbo, but it's all of the elephants that Dumbo is hallucinating.
Oh, I see.
There's also a gold Dumbo that was created for the 50th.
Magic Kingdom. So, they definitely fit in with the circus theme over there. They've got the circus tent up around the queue. There are 2 Dumbo spinners, each with 16 Dumbos. We've got a total of 32 Dumbos. And they're pretty much exact replicas of each other.
Are they different colored?
I didn't look into the colors, but if I'm, I don't think they're different. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so all the elephants are the same. It's just that their little cape and their hats are the different colors.
Right. Their little hats are so cute.
I love their little hats.
And their little capes. They're just so cute.
They're so fancy.
Yeah, they are.
All right, we are going to talk about some fun facts now. And this is just kind of a general fun fact. Dumbo is the only attraction that can be found at all 6 castle parks worldwide. So that's kind of cool. It's not geographically limited. It's timeless.
Classic.
Yeah, it's timeless, but geographically so.
Yes, geographically timeless, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So now getting into some Disneyland specific fun facts. In 1992, one of the original elephants was sold for $16,000.
I feel like that's not that much for an original Dumbo elephant, although that's $1992, so it's a lot more today.
I wonder if John Stamos bought it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He probably did. Another elephant from the ride is in the collection of the Smithsonian National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C. It was donated there in 2005 for Disneyland's 50th anniversary. Also, Harry S. Truman, on his visit to Disneyland, he was the president at the time, he refused to ride Dumbo because elephants are the symbol of the Republican Party, and Truman was a Democrat.
Yeah, that's kind of a funny fun fact.
Yeah.
Okay, so at Magic Kingdom, here's some fun facts. Now that we have a second Dumbo spinner, one of them spins clockwise. It's the only Dumbo to spin clockwise, so they spin counter to each other. And so Fantasyland, underwent its transformation in like the early 2010s, And Storybook Circus, that section of the park, began its soft openings in March of 2012, including one of the new Dumbo spinners. And at that time it received the water at the bottom of the attraction, which it didn't have before because of the utilidors, which were underneath the park. It also has color changing lights like at Disneyland, which light up at night, but it does have more colors than Disneyland does. And the second Dumbo spinner was reconstructed next to the new one. And like I said, they rotate counter to each other. So that's why they're called dueling Dumbos. And it has a new soundtrack and artwork panels that tell the story of Dumbo.
We're going to move on to talk about music. So at Disneyland, there is a band organ from 1915 that will occasionally provide music for the ride. However, this is a very loud organ and it can be heard from over a mile away. So they don't use it all too often. The music, being that Dumbo is so close to the carousel, they pretty much use the same music. You don't want to have clashing Disney tunes.
I feel like they just play the same area music all over Fantasyland at this point.
Yeah, you might be right there.
Yeah. And at Magic Kingdom, Storybook Circus just has the same music in that whole land area. So for Dumbo, they just have the Storybook Circus music playing.
And then let's talk about fireworks and then the rain. So at Disneyland, Dumbo the Flying Elephant may close to accommodate fireworks performances. So it varies, that's actually a quote directly from the Disneyland website. So it varies, we think, depending on what fireworks show is scheduled for that night.
Yeah, it depends what kind of pyrotechnics they're launching. Yeah. Now, Magic Kingdom, it's open during the fireworks, and actually, if you're on the ride, you get a really great view of the fireworks. It's a fun ride to be on during the fireworks.
And at Disneyland, it may close if it rains really hard, but it's not one of the attractions that will close regardless in the rain.
At Magic Kingdom, it usually closes during the rain. It depends on how hard the rain is. If it's sprinkling, probably not. But if it's raining pretty hard, which more than likely it's going to rain hard,
yeah,
then yes, it'll close.
Now, moving on to the queue. At Disneyland, as of 2018, the queue is covered.
Hallelujah.
Previously, it was a series of switchbacks in the sun, which was not fun. But now it is switchbacks in the shade.
Yeah, it's a much more pleasant experience.
Yes.
At Magic Kingdom, first, the queue is covered outdoors. Then you go inside a big top circus arena kind of thing. If it's busy, you'll receive a pager from a cast member, which holds your spot in line. And then your kids can play in this big, air-conditioned play zone that's, circus themed. There's, slides and stuff for them to play on while you sit and wait for your turn. And then when the pager goes off, you give it back to the cast member and you rejoin the queue, go back outside in the covered area and go on the ride.
Now, do the kids sometimes have more fun in the play area than they do on the actual ride?
I'm sure that happens. My child is overwhelmed and does not want to play. So I have not had that problem.
All right. I'm sure other moms have.
My other child is too little to participate, so have not had that problem, thankfully.
Photo opportunities. At Disneyland, there is a Dumbo elephant you can sit in, located behind the main attraction, sort of near that organ that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people miss that unless they walk over to that side. And at Magic Kingdom, there's a prop Dumbo as well. It's over between the two Dumbo attractions or Dumbo spinners, kind of in the back.
At Disneyland, there is no lightning lane. Like I've said 2 other times this episode, where would you put it?
At Magic Kingdom, there is lightning lane, and it's a pretty easy one to get as well. I've been in line standby when they've let a ton of lightning lane people go, and it's made standby really, really long on Dumbo.
That covers all of our bullet points for Dumbo, so it's time for Dueling Dumbos.
Dueling Dumbos.
Let's talk about the views. CJ, you get to go first for this one.
For views, okay, I'm going to give it to Magic Kingdom because I like that you can get a really good view of the fireworks at night.
Yeah, I think the only time I've been on Dumbo is at night at Magic Kingdom.
Hmm.
Not at Disneyland, obviously. I've been on Dumbo a lot at Disneyland, but at least since it got moved to where its current location is at Magic Kingdom, I have only been on it at night and I think during fireworks. And that was really, really cool. It was also really, really cold, but that's a different story. So, yeah, I think I'll agree with you on this one. For the design and number of Dumbos, it's easy Magic Kingdom. There's literally double the Dumbos, and it's just themed very well.
Yeah, I'm also giving it to Magic Kingdom, and it's not really about like the design of the Dumbos, but it's about the theme, the circus theme, and how it fits in with the Storybook Circus area. It just makes sense. And the
Yeah.
movie of Dumbo is about Dumbo being at a circus, so
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Lastly, we have the queue experience, and although Disneyland gets points for finally shading the queue, this is a no-brainer. It goes to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Magic Kingdom is the winner on the queue experience as well. And I don't remember if I mentioned this, but the play area is circus themed too. So they even extended the theming into the play area. It's just a very well done experience overall.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, Magic Kingdom Dumbo completely blows Disneyland Dumbo out of the water. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, we lifted the lever on that one. Flew up high above Fantasyland.
Yeah.
Dumbo
Yeah.
for liftoff at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. Not that we don't love the Disneyland version. It's just, this is a competition and
Yes.
there has to be a winner.
So overall, for the carousel, we both said Magic Kingdom.
Hmm.
We were split on the Mad Tea Party, and then Magic Kingdom wins for Dumbo as well. Are you surprised by any of this?
Not really. I think knowing us, I think it makes sense.
I was a little surprised because we're both Disneyland people through and through, so I'm surprised we went with Magic Kingdom.
Yes, but when you look at the differences, there's a lot of things that Magic Kingdom has done better for these specific rides.
Yeah, that's true. I think the recent updates to the Storybook Circus area really helped, and Fantasyland did receive, an overhaul in the early 2010s, so I think that helped Magic
Yeah.
Kingdom quite a bit.
Yeah, I think if we were talking 10 years ago, we would have different opinions. But the way that it is now, I mean, we're talking about it now. It's got to be now. So,
Yep. True.
well, that about wraps it up for
It
our
does.
Spinning Around in Circles episode.
Yes.
So, thank you everybody for joining us as we talked ourselves in circles about the carousels and the Mad Tea Party and the Dumbo the Flying Elephants attractions. So, let us know if you agree with us, if you think we're crazy. You can add us on Twitter, allegedly, and on Instagram, definitively. Both of those are at Park2Park Pod with the number 2. You can send us an email, park2parkpod@gmail.com with the number 2. And, email us, give us a question, give us an episode idea, tell us if we're right, tell us if we're wrong, tell us hi. we're lonely. We don't get a lot of emails. Just, make our inbox not lonely. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, leave a rating, follow us on
Smash
YouTube.
that subscribe button.
Yeah, do that. What she said.
Do as the YouTubers do. All right. Next episode, what are we talking about?
That's your line, actually.
Okay, well, next episode, we are doing some stuff in the future.
We are moving.
And we are flying.
And we are driving.
Into the future. That's right. We are talking about the Autopia, the Astro Orbiter, and the People Mover.
You are so enthusiastic about this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tomorrowland kind of holds a soft spot in my heart. My son loves Tomorrowland. I have changing feelings on Tomorrowland, mixed feelings on Tomorrowland.
Well, that's fitting because that you have changing feelings on it because Tomorrowland has changed so much over the years. So
It has.
it's appropriate.
Yeah, and I know the People Mover doesn't exist at Disneyland anymore, so we're going to talk about the sad state of the rotting People Mover tracks in Disneyland.
Yeah, I feel like we'll also touch on, when it was in its prime too.
Yes, and the rocket rods. Ooh, the rocket rods.
Hey, it was really great ride when it worked.
When it worked. All right, I think that wraps it up. Thanks
All
for joining
right.
us.
Yeah, come back next time. We'll have more hot takes, spicier than the food that the ant makes in Big Hero 6.
All right, see you next time.
All right, bye y'all.